Thank you, Aaron. Since we had such a long break, we decided to have Yiggal Rotem's lecture before the next break. So I'd like to ask Yiggal Rotem to speak. Yiggal Rotem is the founder and former CEO of PowerDsine. PowerDsine is currently part of Microsemi. And Yiggal Rotem's lecture is Invent or Die.
הולך ל... כן, סגרים ופה. אין. Good evening, everyone. My name is Yigal Rotem. Thank you very much for Ela's kind invite to this forum. I know some of you, and I definitely want to stick with today's topic, but to bring this topic to life a little bit from the PowerDsine experience. And do we have time for questions afterwards, Ella? Okay, we'll see. So few highlights about PowerDsine. Again, I'm one of the two co-founders. We founded PowerDsine in 1995. And we were very fortunate, Ilan Natias and myself, being able to take this company from an idea to a public company, IPO in NASDAQ in 2004, and to sell the company in public-to-public transaction in 2006, and the closing was in the beginning of 2007. PowerDsine is part of Microsemi today, but given the fact that they keep providing some PowerDsine numbers, I can share it with you. We are over $50 million in revenues. The company is very profitable. 155 employees in 2006, and today 140 employees. The acquisition is considered to be extremely successful, and we are definitely very happy partners. A snapshot of PowerDsine customers. We're selling practically to all the major OEMs in the enterprise and switching business in the world. And of course, bigger than everyone else, Cisco. So the company started to develop its product as I would say, a way to address a market need. And many people doesn't know that, but the company was reinventing itself 5 times. So between what we brought to our investors when we raised the money in 2006 to the time that the company was acquired in 2007 and definitely went public, we reinvented the way that we do business, our customers, and in some cases even our core technology 5 times in order to reach where we are now. And when I'm saying invite or die, it's not just invite a technology. It's invite also the way that you do business. And I will elaborate this in a second. So Telluride was our first customer. When they did an audit to the company, the number of auditors was about 4 times the number of employees. So in order to create a crowd a little bit, I bought shirts to our employees and our next door employees with the PowerDsine logo, just in case that they will see enough people running around and won't ask too many tough questions. We eventually won the project, by the way. So the first product was a ring signal generator. I won't get into it. That the signal that goes to every phone in the world. And very quickly we realized that selling to a multi-billion-dollar companies like Nortel is a very, very, very tough process. By the way, we definitely did realize your conclusion to begin with, but the process was so hard to sell to companies like Nortel and NTT and Lucent that we realized that we won't be able to survive. So we took this technology to a new emerging market where the leader was an American company, South California company called PowerDsine. And we took the core technology of the company and we shifted to the DSL emerging market back in 1998. And we went straight to the number one system provider at that time and tried to convince them to buy a single source solution from an Israeli company. What made PowerDsine claim to fame was, again, a new initiative. In 1999, after we are selling quite a lot to the DSL market, Tricom came to PowerDsine with a request. Look, we won the Marriott hotel chain, voice over IP tender, and we have a problem. We have a phone that needs to get its power from somewhere, and we want a solution. So we came to them with a technical solution, but then we realized that what we have is much bigger than just a powering mechanism for IP phones, and the concept was powering the LAN. And when we came with this concept to other companies, people said, "You are nuts," or "We can do it very easily without you." So they tried to do it easily without us, and they got power at the end of the LAN cable, but no data. So at that time, we said this is big enough for us to start pushing this technology to be a world standard. The concept, again, is powering the LAN in a way that when you connect the device can get the power and the data from the same node. The fourth time that we reinvented ourselves was at the time that we realized that part of the value proposition of PowerDsine need to come as an IC, as a chip. Because if we will continue to sell boxes, we have a short-term business. Because eventually, all the switch manufacturer will adopt this technology. We won't be able to sell boxes. And therefore, we need to provide some way of our technology and continue to generate revenues. And we develop a core team within the company that will be focused on doing these ICs. And we started offloading this effort with, as Ella mentioned, offloading this effort to a strategic partner. And at that time, it was Motorola Semiconductor, known today as Freescale. And along the years, we built this technology and capabilities in-house. 2001, tough year. I'm going to tell you a story that not too many people know. We were in the midst of raising our last financing round, $30 million from Deutsche Bank. We were practically at the end of the whole process, and we set a time and a date for the final signing on the agreement, and the date was September 11th, 5 p.m. Israeli time. So when people are talking about, hey, you need some luck, I think we succeeded in spite of the fact PowerDsine had very little luck. And this is one of the occasions. So you can imagine ourselves waiting to get the investment from Deutsche Bank, but realizing that this investment will not come, at least not at that time. So we were all definitely shocked, and eventually they did invest a month later. We created the IEEE 802.3AF, which is a task force as part of the standard committee in order to take the PowerDsine standard, the PowerDsine concept, and make it a standard. I think that we are very, very proud, and one of the very few small companies that was able to take its own technology and get it all the way to a standard completion in a way that the standard committee actually adopted PowerDsine technology. It was unique. I don't think it can happen to us again, because people are now realizing that PowerDsine is the heavyweight gorilla in this space. But that back then, everyone kind of allowed us to be the crazy guy on the block that will push the technology all the way through, and eventually it will be taken by a bigger company. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen because we had a very, very strong IP strategy, and I will talk about it in a second. Big market, as Ofer and Aaron already mentioned, you have to play in a big market. Otherwise, the return on investment to your customers, to yourself, to your investors will not be there. Definitely driven by strong application growth, like voice over IP, wireless LAN, and others. Going public in 2004, that's the other part of the event that I'm talking about. In 2004, in 2003 actually, the IPO market was completely closed after the burst of the bubble. There were no small IPOs, and PowerDsine was one of the first companies to go out and be listed in NASDAQ in the middle of 2004. Continuing the luck story, we were announced, everyone, we're going to price on, I think, June 10th, and on June 8th, President Reagan died, and the market was closed. And we said to ourselves, hey, we haven't completed our roadshow. What we are going to do? And we made a decision. We are going to cut the roadshow and price the same day, and eventually it was very successful. Few lessons from the PowerDsine story. If you go to a market, you have to be either number one or number two in this market. You can't be a follower. As a small company, you don't stand a chance. And if you can't prove yourself that your technology and marketing capabilities are such that will bring you at a certain point in time to be either the number one or number two in your space, you don't have the right technology or the right concept. You have to invest a lot of money and focus on IP. I remember that when the first investment in PowerDsine was made, one of the largest telecommunication companies in Israel, they did a due diligence to PowerDsine. And one of their conclusions were that it's going to be a waste of time to write any patents because you don't need a patent. We listened to this advice, and we took it to the other way. PowerDsine hired an IP attorney and an IP editor to the company, and over a period of 3 years, we filed 6 litigations against other companies that are violating our patents. All these litigations came to conclusion very fast to an arbitration, and PowerDsine won. It's not the money that came out of it, it's the market position, and you have to be willing to fight. Otherwise, you are gone. You have to assume that your market will grow, but will grow much slower than you anticipate, and build yourself to mitigate that. And definitely don't listen to all these research companies that are practically quoting your own quote and eventually charging tens of thousands of dollars to do that. Go to the market, speak with the customers. They will give you the real data and not the search and analyst firms. And of course, be optimistic. So PowerDsine is now traded in NASDAQ, and at a certain point in time, giving the market conditions and giving the competitive environment around PowerDsine, we realized that the best way for PowerDsine to continue to grow and to continue to keep its position in the market is be acquired. And if you are going through this process, be sure that there is not only one bidder for the company, and you have kind of many other people that are desiring to own your either intellectual property or the entire company. We were very fortunate to go through this process because I think the company's success is part of the fact that we are part of a much larger organization today. And this is what happens if you have too much U.S. exposure. So, as Ofer said, the U.S. is not the only market where you have to do business. Thank you. Any questions? You all understand everything. Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, I can have a question.
So if you had to do one thing different, what would you do?
We made many mistakes, Ken. But one, I would say our biggest mistake was that we did too many private financing rounds and raised too little and too late. Thank you.